Hello, hello. I am so excited to be coming on here today to talk about a really juicy topic. Today, we're going to be getting into common misperceptions that holds people back from going after their goals and how you can avoid them so that you can move towards your goals with so much more ease. If you're new to me, I'm Gina Casbarro. I'm your host of the Follow Your Spark podcast. And today we're going to be diving into this solo episode, which has been inspired by a lot of the things I've been hearing coming up with my clients, with my potential clients that we've been talking through and working through. And I want to let you in on some of those behind the scenes concepts that we've been working through together that have really been helping people to overcome these common misconceptions. Because one thing I find is that when you're not aware of the real problem, you are either trying to solve the wrong thing or letting something hold you back without realizing what it is and how to move past it. So that's the power in being able to illuminate what these actual problems are so that you can see how to overcome them. So, if there has been any dream in your life, any goal in your life that you have been struggling to make progress towards, to take steps towards, listen to this episode and see if any of these things you can relate to and if you think that they might be getting in your way too. All right, so with that, let's dive in. Okay, so the first misconception is something I see often with my clients, and it's this idea of all or nothing thinking. For example, if someone wants to pursue a goal, let's say they want to start a business, and they're thinking that I need to go all in. I need to quit my job. I need to dedicate 100% of my time and energy and resources towards this goal because that's what it means to go all in. That's what it means to actually believe in myself. I have to completely jump off the cliff, burn everything down, and start this new path. And what happens when people are in that mindset is that they don't take any steps forward if they believe that they have to be all in. And they're convincing themselves that baby steps, transitioning from one thing to another is not enough. When truly it's just a thought that your brain is telling you that you need to go all in versus being able to examine that thought and see, is that true? Do I need to? Can I start gradually? Can I start taking steps forward now and allow that to be enough? And another example, I've had clients who want to take sabbaticals and they can't take it now, so struggle to take steps towards that. And when we get past that idea that I need to take action now, otherwise I can't do anything, then it's realizing of, okay, wow, there are things I can do right now. I can start researching. I can start saving money. I can start imagining what that dream vision would be. I can start planning for it. There's so many steps in between here and there. And you don't have to take this giant leap over the cliff, off the cliff, in order to move forward. So it's being able to trust and believe that small steps forward get you somewhere. They matter, and you can build dreams one step at a time. In fact, that's how you build anything. That's how you get anywhere. It's always one step at a time. So if your brain is telling you that you can't make any progress unless you're ready to completely shift directions, go all in, and whatever that dream is, ask yourself if that's true. And ask yourself, if you didn't believe that, if that thought was not present, what could you do now that would take you one step closer towards that dream, whatever it is? And this next misperception is related to the first one. And it's about thinking that you need the perfect plan, you need to know exactly how it's all going to work out, and you need to be reassured of this safety and security and proof externally that it's all going to work out. People want to know the how. They want to know the exact steps in between here and there that can guarantee a specific outcome. And they're looking for things externally to reassure them of that, to give them that sense of safety. For example, people might not want to start a business if they don't know how much money they're going to make, or how long it's going to take, and searching for, again, this external proof of it all, quote unquote, working out, and letting that get in the way of making any steps forward. So, what I believe people actually need is something that I call sustaining your spark. So instead of looking for external factors to reassure you, to help you feel safe, to help you feel secure, it's about practicing tools that support you mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually so that you can find an internal sense of safety and security and groundedness. Because what inherently happens when people are pursuing a dream or pursuing a goal is that it comes with uncertainty. It's just inevitable. It cannot be avoided. If you are doing something for the first time, if you're doing something that you've never done before, it's going to involve that. And as much as you try to grasp for an external sense of safety and security, it's always going to keep slipping through your fingers because it can't be found externally. So when you can begin to even practice letting go of the need for that and getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, it's a lot easier to take a step forward, to take a leap of faith, to step out into the unknown when you no longer need that ground underneath your feet. And there are all kinds of practices to sustain your spark. And this is something that I go deep into with clients. And it's a foundational piece of the work that I do because it is so helpful to work on things that calm our nervous system, to regulate ourselves so that we're not in a constant state of fight or flight and stress, because that makes it a lot harder to think clearly. It makes it a lot harder to make decisions. It makes it a lot harder to take bold leaps. So like I said, that can look like a million different things. It can look like meditation. It can look like morning and evening routines. It can look like time for creativity, for spirituality, for intuition. So look and see for yourself right now, what practices do you have that sustain you, that leave you feeling your best mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually? And do you turn to them in those moments where you feel most stressed, where you feel most uncertain? If you don't have a bank of tools that you feel like can support you, go to ginacasbarro.com/transformational hyphen tools. I share a list of resources of my top favorite practices that can lower stress and boost feelings of confidence, groundedness, clarity, ease. So check that out, ginacasbarro.com/transformational hyphen tools. It'll be in the show notes also, because like I said, this is one of the things that I find is so helpful and comes up consistently with every single one of my coaching clients, this struggle to prioritize this kind of time for practices like this, because it feels indulgent, it feels like a waste of time, it feels like you're not being productive. So it's hard, I know, sometimes to override that programming. And that's, again, something that we do together when I work with clients, is to be able to examine those thoughts that are telling you it's not safe to slow down, it's not safe to tune in, it's not safe to do anything that doesn't feel productive. When truly, I feel like that is one of the most impactful things you can do when you want to follow a dream, when you want to follow a spark, is to be able to regularly have practices that help you tune it. So like I said, this list of resources will help you do that. It's got things from my favorite oracle cards, playlist, meditation practices, resources, all kinds of things will help you in there. So check that out. So yeah, if you're finding yourself saying or thinking that you need the perfect plan, that you need to know exactly how it's all going to go, know that this is just a way that your brain is trying to protect you. Our brains are wired for safety. They're wired for security. So it feels extremely uncomfortable whenever we're putting ourselves in any kind of situation that doesn't feel certain, that doesn't feel safe. So if your brain is doing that, it is 100% normal. And there are ways to overcome that and to move forward, even though the brain might be screaming danger or this is not safe. And it comes back to, again, using tools and practices that can help you calm your nervous system and open up to more clarity, intuition, and inner trust and knowing. The next misperception that I hear often is this misperception of I need more. I need more time. I need more money. I need more experience. I need more of something in order to be able to take that next step. So let's look at time, for example. Oftentimes people will say, well, if I had more time, then I would share about my business on social media. If I had more time, I would take steps to research what's next in my sabbatical. If I had more time, I would write that article that I've really been feeling called to write and share my thoughts and ideas. And when I ask people, if time couldn't be the reason why you weren't doing XYZ, what do you think the reason would be? And so often there's an underlying fear, an underlying thought that's getting in the way of you taking that step. So let's look at, for example, if someone wants to share their work, their ideas publicly in any format, whether that's they want to share about their business, whether they just want to share more of their personal thoughts. There might be a fear of visibility, a fear of what other people will think, a fear of what other people will say that's getting in the way of them wanting to take that next step. Fear of need to be perfect, something like that. There's some kind of mental roadblock that is holding them back from wanting to take that step. And then when we go a step deeper, it's like, okay, what would happen if somebody didn't like what you had to say online? How would you feel? Well, they might feel rejected, disappointed, a whole variety of things. So truly what people are often avoiding is feeling how they would feel if whatever their worst case scenario was to happen. So again, they might have to feel shame. They might have to feel judgment. They might have to feel a whole variety of things. And it's the brain's mechanism, again, to not want to feel those things, to just avoid them. So therefore, I'm going to find some other reason that can convince me why I'm not doing this. Oh, I can just blame time. I can just blame money. I can just blame other circumstances for why I'm not moving forward versus addressing what is underlying here that's actually getting in your way. So that's why a huge piece of what we do in coaching is that mindset work. And there's a process that I specifically call the Phoenix mindset. And it's about being able to examine what are those thoughts getting in your way? Those thoughts that are telling you you're not good enough, you're not ready, pointing to all the ways that you've failed in the past, whatever it is, whatever disempowering story you've been telling yourself consciously or unconsciously, we examine that and really see what's getting in your way here and begin to create new thoughts, create new stories, create new beliefs that help you step into seeing yourself as this phoenix, as someone who can overcome any obstacle, any challenge, who sees your failures, quote unquote failures, as a learning experience and can mine them for gold. So all of that is part of this alchemical process of embracing everything that's ever happened in your life and finding a way to turn it into gold, to turn it into growth. So that's another huge piece of this process. And part of all of this, again, is also about feeling your feelings. This is probably the number one thing that I think holds people back from pursuing any goals, which people are often unaware of, is this avoidance of feeling feelings. And when you're finally able to see that there's nothing wrong if you feel afraid, if you feel confused, if you feel insecure, if you feel disappointed, if you feel shame, there's nothing wrong with any of those emotions. And in the work that I do with clients, we learn how to feel them in an embodied sense, how to become friendly with your emotions. And again, stop searching for this need for everything to feel good all the time. It's the same thing that comes back to all the things we've been talking about so far. When you can let go of searching for things to feel good all the time and instead embrace the challenge, embrace the discomfort, embrace the uncertainty, and know that nothing is wrong here and you have the power to feel all the feelings it makes it a lot easier to be willing to put yourself in circumstances that could elicit quote unquote challenging emotions. So I really find that having this friendliness with the full spectrum of the human experience is really useful to help you actually be willing to go after your goals. So, if your brain is telling you that you don't have time to pursue a goal, pursue a dream, take a next step, whatever it is, ask yourself if time couldn't be the reason why you weren't going after your goal, what else would it be? And really examine and look at, peel back the layers and see what is the fear underneath it? What is the thought underneath it? Give yourself space to feel whatever feelings that elicits or brings up, and then ask yourself what else could be true. What do you want to believe instead? How could you shift your perspective to see things and see yourself from a more empowered place? And again, if this is challenging, I get it 100%. It can be really hard to see our own brains from the inside out, which is exactly why I always work with a coach, because it's so much easier to talk these things through with someone. So if you want support talking things through, I'll share at the end how we can connect if you want to have that conversation. The next more thing that often comes up is I need more money. Because maybe you want to take a leap of faith that requires you changing an aspect of your job or changing an aspect of how you bring in income or making an investment in yourself. Oftentimes money is involved. Sometimes, not all the time. It doesn't require any money to share about your work online or do other things. And like I said, oftentimes following a dream does require money on some level. So I find that people often focus on the amount of money they're losing versus being able to focus on what they're gaining and seeing things as an investment. For example, I have a lot of clients who have taken time off or wanted to take time off of work to invest in themselves, to give themselves space and freedom to just be, to explore, to do this deep inner work, whatever that is. And there's so much tied up in money. There's so much self-worth tied up in money. There's so much that we measure external success-wise tied up in money. So one thing that I find is really useful when thinking about money is also being able to do a reality check. Can you afford to take a sabbatical? What would be required to do that? Do you need to save money? How much? What are the steps that need to happen? And then once you have created those steps and created that reality and it's time to take that sabbatical, now it's about being able to rewire again your thoughts and nervous system to feel safe without bringing money in or without earning the same amount of money. And it's all about, again, finding that internal sense of safety, finding that internal sense of peace, and really looking at the thoughts that your brain is telling you and examining if they're true or not. And then again, when it comes to money, whether you're needing to spend money and invest or consciously choosing to not make as much money for whatever reason, again, thinking about what is the return that you're going to gain from either of those choices. So if you're investing in something, let's say you want to start a business and you're investing in a business program or a coach, being able to think about what's the return on this investment. Am I going to gain skills? Am I going to build a new mindset that's going to help me step into this new self-concept and help me build and grow this business? What's going to be the impact on my life 6 months from now, a year from now, 10 years from now, if I make this investment in myself? What am I gaining if I spend X amount of money versus this thought of what am I losing? And just focusing on, oh, I'm losing this amount of money and I'm not receiving anything in return. I'm just spending it. The same is true, again, let's say if you take a sabbatical or if you're doing something, if you make a choice to go part-time in your corporate job as you're working towards your business and you're thinking about, again, oh my gosh, I'm losing money. I'm losing money, I'm making less money, and all the fear and scarcity and thoughts that come up with that versus thinking, I am intentionally making less money and I am receiving more time. I am receiving more space to work on myself, to discover something about myself, to give myself this gift of time and space. And I've done this intentionally. I'm prepared for it. I've taken all the baby steps necessary to set myself up for success in whatever that transition looked like for you. And again, it's safe for me to do this. So being able to be clear with yourself about what do you really need and making sure, yes, your basic needs are covered. And this comes back again to this like all or nothing thinking. I'm not saying that you need to quit everything and start your own business and all of that and depend on your business to replace your income tomorrow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you can be intentional with how you spend your money, how you invest your money, how much money you actually need, and make conscious choices to take steps that are in alignment with your goals and values and priorities. And then it's about rewiring your mindset to find safety in those choices. Because anytime we spend money, anytime we make less money, again, it all comes back to the brain wanting to feel safe. And money is one of those resources that makes us feel safe, or we think makes us feel safe. And of course, we all want and need to have our basic needs met. And that's when that reality check comes in of, okay, how much money do I actually need? How can I earn that in a way that is going to support me in this moment while I also take steps towards pursuing my goals, pursuing my dreams, whatever they are? So if more money in any way is coming up for you as a limitation or a roadblock that is preventing you from moving forward, again, it all comes back to examining a step deeper and looking at the thoughts, the beliefs, the feelings that you have when it comes to money. And I know this can be very multi-layered. And I have a different podcast all about overcoming scarcity that I can attach in the show notes as well. So check that out if you want to go deep into money. But yeah, for now, I just want to share that money is often not the actual problem, the actual thing that's holding you back. There's so much that goes into your beliefs about money that are the real root cause of it. The next misconception that I find holds people back is that they need, or they think they need, to feel certain about all the next steps and the outcome in order to move forward. They need to know how it's all going to work out all the way down the line to see the whole path laid out before them versus being willing to take one step at a time and trust that as you take steps, that's how the path unfolds. And that's something that I call kinetic confidence in the process that I work through with clients. Because people often think, okay, I need to be 100% confident before I can move forward. Versus in my mind, the way that you gain that confidence is through motion, is through action. So oftentimes we don't get the next step if we're not willing to take the first one. So ask yourself, is there some dream or goal that you have in your life that you're telling yourself, I need to have it all figured out in order to take the first step? And I need to do more research. I need to do more planning. I need to talk to more people versus asking yourself, what's one baby step I can take in that direction today? Can I trust myself to take it and see what happens when you do? And this is where intuition work really comes into play for me because our brains want to figure everything out logically. And for me, when I can drop into a place of trust, when I can feel a strong inner compass inside of me that can help me make choices and decipher what is that next step? Because that's when the brain will get lost if it's just caught up in the thought spirals and mind drama of wanting to take the right next step. What's the perfect next step? What's the step I can take that would guarantee a quote unquote successful outcome versus being willing to go on the journey and being able to trust yourself to navigate that journey one step at a time. One of my favorite practices to get in touch with my intuition and ask myself those questions that I want answers to is a practice that's called intuitive journaling. So you can ask a question at the top of a journal page, and I like to ask a question like, would it serve my highest good to blank, to apply for this job, to share about my work on social media, to write this article, to whatever it is, and allow your pen to write. Maybe it writes yes, maybe it writes no, and then you can ask why, you can ask additional questions, and really see what comes through when you allow your pen to write. You can also even do it in your non-dominant hand to, again, even like get your brain out of that logical perspective and see what comes through when you ask in a different way, what answers that you get. And this is also why intuition is one of the key things that I work on with my coaching clients as well. And one of my favorite practices is something that I call a year ahead intuitive coaching session. And it is a 90-minute session that I do with my clients where we pull an oracle card theme for every month of the year, as well as a year theme for the whole year. And we uncover what topics, what energies, what animals, what themes are coming up throughout the whole year that you might be navigating, and see what are practices that can support you in that. And then there's a journal that goes along with it that has space to reflect on these cards, reflect on these topics, and set intentional goals for that month coming from both your heart and your mind that are aligned with your bigger picture vision to hone in on what really matters to you. And then throughout the month, you're tracking what evidence you're seeing, what signs you're seeing, what synchronicities you're seeing, what happens when you trust your intuition, and you're gathering this bank of evidence for this. So again, if you want to start developing your intuition, you can do the same thing. You can keep a journal that tracks evidence of, okay, I asked my intuition what step I should take, and this is what happened when I did that. This is the outcome. This is the results that was created. I saw all these signs. I met this person that felt so serendipitous. I was led here. This was the outcome of that. And you'll begin to gather this evidence and this deep belief that good things happen, beautiful things happen when you trust yourself. Speaking of oracle cards, I pulled a couple before this podcast episode, and I'm going to read them to you because they sound pretty relevant. One of them says, try. I don't need to wait until tomorrow to start over. I can give myself a clean slate to try again every second if I need to. I'm going to start over right now with blank and keep trying. I love this. And it also makes me think of letting go of perfectionism and letting go of needing to get things quote unquote right. And again, take the perfect step versus being willing to take a step and know that tomorrow you can take a new step. And that's how you move forward. Versus if you let that fear of perfection get in your way, you're going to be standing in the same place and you're not going to have any new evidence, any new things to learn from than you would have if you had taken any step in any direction that you'd get some feedback from. And the other one says worry free. When I think about my life, I realize that I now have so many things that were once just desires. Why do I bother worrying at all? I think about how perfectly blank or blank worked out for me. Now it seems silly that I ever had any doubt. It helps me realize that there's no need to worry about blank because everything is always working out for me. Yes, I love this card so much. And this also ties back to that concept of Phoenix mindset and being able to look back at what are the times where you've experienced challenges, where you've experienced roadblocks or setbacks. How did you overcome them? What can you remember from those circumstances that can help you develop that Phoenix mindset and that empowered belief that you can overcome any challenge in your path? And it's a great reminder, for me, for us, for all of us, of like how much worry can stress us out unnecessarily versus what happens when we believe we're capable of navigating circumstances and let go of that need to know how it's all going to end. If we could all do that, I think about this for myself all the time. If I could just let go of this need to know where it's all going to go and what the outcome is going to be of my life, it would alleviate so much stress. And I'm in a constant practice of this every single day. I think it never ends of, again, becoming more friendly with that uncertainty and really enjoying the journey, enjoying the path of uncertainty, enjoying not needing to know, enjoying the surprise of it all, the surprise and delight of this life that we get to live and experience every single day. The next misconception is thinking that change should feel good, totally aligned, or that you should not feel any fear. So I hear this often of people wanting to feel 100% good, safe, confident in order to take a step forward. Versus, again, like we've talked about, change does not always feel good. Taking a step out into the unknown oftentimes does not feel good. It feels really scary. It brings up and elicits all kinds of emotions. So being able to discern and know for yourself, and this is when intuition comes in, of okay, I have a desire to move in this particular direction. My heart is calling me to move in this particular direction. I also feel fear. And my brain is coming up with all of these reasons why I can't. I need more time. I need more money. I need more experience, all these things, versus being able to recognize, I see. My brain is just giving me all these reasons to try to prevent me from feeling any of these uncomfortable feelings. It's trying to prevent me from throwing myself into uncertainty, into the unknown. So it's convincing me not to, versus being able to connect with your heart, connect with that Phoenix mindset, connect with why you have this desire in the first place, and be willing to step forward even in the face of discomfort. And this is something that I find often comes up when people are thinking about investing in coaching. I ask them, how do you want to feel when you make this decision? And they're like, I want to feel 100% confident. I want to feel like 100% clear that this is the right choice. I don't want to have any doubt. And I want to feel amazing about this choice. And it's like, great. That would be awesome if that happened. And it's also highly possible that the brain is going to feel afraid. It's going to feel afraid of investing. It's going to feel afraid of betting on yourself, of believing in a new dream or a new vision. It's going to have questions about, are you capable of creating whatever result it is that you want to create? It's going to have a whole array of thoughts and feelings. And if you let this get in your way, this belief that everything should feel easy, everything should just fall into place, everything should just click. And one day, the path will become clear, like heaven's gates will open up and we'll just all be easy. You might be waiting a very long time. So again, that's when it comes back to turning to those tools that can sustain your spark, that can bring you into a rest or digest state instead of that fight or flight, and come back to this ability to find internal validation, internal sense of safety, so that you can do those reality checks and see, okay, what's my fear talking and what's my heart and my belief talking, and to then develop that Phoenix mindset of looking and seeing, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about what's possible? How can you rewrite that story to expand what you think you're capable of? And then learning to trust your intuition to take steps towards that dream, one step at a time, whatever it is. And another thing I didn't talk about here is that a tool that I work on with my clients all the time is something that I call activating your vision. And this is about connecting to your why, connecting to this dream or goal and why it matters to you in the first place, because this will also be a huge thing that helps you overcome challenges, that helps you overcome obstacles when your brain is telling you, no, wait, stop, all the things that your brain tells you. So if you find yourself in any of these traps, come back to that as well. Ask yourself, why does this goal or dream matter to you so much? And reconnect to that fire so that it can give you the momentum and the boost that you need in order to keep going and move forward. And then again, we talked about kinetic confidence and being able to take steps one at a time, and remember that confidence doesn't always come ahead of time. It actually comes through action. So asking yourself, what is one baby step you can take today that moves you in the direction of your goals and dreams? All right, my friend, I hope something in this conversation sparked an idea or clarity or inspiration for you to help you have a better understanding of what might be getting in your own way and what could help you move past those limitations so that you can step forward now, and those reasons, even if they seem like good reasons, don't have to get in your way. Whatever you have right now, whatever time, money, experience, skill set, whatever you have right now, it is enough. It is enough to move forward in the direction of your dreams, even if you feel scared. And these tools to develop your mindset, to develop your energy, to develop your belief, to develop your vision, they will help you. So again, if you want to get started right away, go download that free resource at ginacasbarro.com/transformational-tools. That will give you a list of practices that you can experiment with right now to sustain your spark. And if you want to talk through this, if you want to talk through the vision for your life that's calling you forward and what dream is on your heart, then book a time with me to chat. I offer free clarity calls at ginacasbarro.com/clarity call. And this 75-minute call is dedicated to you. It's dedicated to exploring your deepest heart's desires. It's dedicated to uncover the unique flavor of the things that get in your way so that we can really see what are the themes showing up for you and how can you overcome them. What are the tools, practices, and supports that you can use that can overcome the unique things that are getting in your way? And we'll explore what it would be like to have support on your path. So if you are craving that kind of conversation, to give yourself permission and space to dream and believe in a bigger way, go to ginacasbarro.com/clarity call and let's talk about it. Because there has never been a better time than now. It never gets any easier. And as soon as you start taking one step after the other, the momentum builds. So let's build that momentum together. And I cannot wait to hear about what dream is on your heart. All right, my friend, I will talk to you soon. Bye.